Okay, so let's react to this video of Erika Kirk as she talks about stuff that she doesn't like in the country. All right, I think Erika Kirk is a very special person. I actually think that Erika Kirk may be a witch. There's something that she does with her eyes all the time, which is something that it just doesn't seem right. She has this picture in the background that says, "May Charlie Kirk be received into the merciful arms of Jesus, our loving Savior." Jesus is not their Savior. And Charlie Kirk was not a Christian, he was a Christian nationalist, which means that they believe that America and all the evil that America does is tantamount and it's the same as what God would do, which is not the same. It's a totally different religion. Okay, which you have to look into to understand. Okay, Charlie Kirk was extremely racist. He's the same guy that said that he would not he's against black people getting reparations. He said that black people were essentially dumb. He said they would not get on a plane if a black man was flying the plane. Okay, but there's so many Christians, or so-called Christians online, so-called Christians that will say, "Oh, he was a Christian. He may have said a few bad things." And most of them are not black. Okay, and the people that are black don't know what this man said, or they're just straight up stupid. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Okay, there are people that are actually dumb. They don't understand what's going on. Let's hit play and hear what she has to say.
Seems to me that nothing will ever be enough for the evil in this world. Our country has become unrecognizable. These people have perverted the truth to the point that they motivated the murder of.
Let's stop right there. Okay, these people. She said that the country is unrecognizable from what? She said that they push lies essentially. Who pushes the most lies? And who has perverted the truth most? Is it President Trump? Yes, the guy who has a website called Truth Social, which is a joke, okay, of what he really does. The truth to everybody that really understands him, that he would make a website called Truth Social. No one good or well that he lies more than anybody else. All right, and she was sucking up to Trump, knowing good and well that, in my opinion, I think that she has something to do with her husband's death and Trump, because Charlie Kirk started not following his handler's instructions, as simple as that, and they took his behind out. Okay, let's hit play and listen to the rest.
My husband. They have continuously tried to assassinate the president, and anyone who stands in their way is.
Now she endorses these fake assassination attempts. You think that she's stupid enough to believe that? No. Okay, so people say that she works with Trump. I believe it. Let's hit play.
Labeled hateful, racist, fascist, and every other trigger word that is grossly dishonest.
Oh, did she say they're saying that about the president? I know she's not saying that that's false.
Anyone who stands in their way is labeled hateful, racist,
Okay.
fascist, and every other trigger word that is
Well, that's because you stand over a hateful fascist government. That's why. Okay. Duh. Maybe want to watch this SEAL video that's popping up. Let's hit play, y'all.
grossly dishonest. We want the best for our country. They don't. This is why Charlie started Turning Point USA in the first place. He didn't trust the radicalized.
Does she seem like a bad actor? Yes, she does. All right, she seems like a bad actor. She seems like someone who's trying to act. I'm a director, okay? And she seems like a person that if I saw her, I would say, we're not going to use you. Because she seems like seriously, she seems like a person that's trying to act. All right? She should not appear to be trying to act, especially when she's talking about her slain husband. But as you can see, she's everything she's doing, just like Trump. Only she's a worse at Trump is much better acting than her, okay? She is acting, even when she's talking about this stuff, this should be a walk in the park for her. It should be easy for her to do this, but it's not easy. You may say, well, she's just under a lot of pressure. How long? For thousands of years is the pressure gonna last? It seems like for her, the pressure lifts when she wants it to lift, okay? She can be in the party mood when she wants to be in a party mood. And then for some reason, she can just burst out and almost start crying, even though she had never had shows any tears. Like when she's leaving and saying, "Oh, I just want to go home," after the fake shooting. But let's hit play to the rest of this.
Liberal teachers. And this past Saturday, it was a school teacher, of all people, a school teacher, that attempted to change our history for the worst with bullets. And everyone is asking why I even went to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And it was because many of the journalists in that room have attempted to dehumanize me. And I wanted to meet some of them face to face, quite frankly.
When they say quite frankly, that means that they're adding it to the end of the sentence because they're lying. I'm not saying that everybody says quite frankly is lying. But when they say quite frankly, they're lying. All right. She's lying. She went there because Trump probably called her and said, "I want you to go." He said, "It's going to be a good opportunity for you. You can maybe do some fake crying if you want when the fake shooting happens." And she said, "Okay." All right, let's hit play.
I have a conversation about me when you can have a conversation with me. So, for example, a journalist from the Daily Mail came up to me. She introduced herself, and she was very gracious. She was saying, "You look so beautiful. I'm so sorry for your loss."
Sorry for that, ad. Yo, caught me by surprise. Like these lies that she's telling. I mean, she's telling me she's saying some things that are just shocking. I mean, the way that she's lying. All right, I don't believe she's lying when she's saying that someone came up to her. Maybe she is. I don't know. But I know that she didn't go there for it. I know that she didn't go there for these reporters. I know that she didn't say, "I want to face these reporters head on who were attacking me and talking about my husband's Turning Point USA and all the racist things that we did. I want to confront them head on." Then she could have went to the station or the network or the newspapers and done that. Come on now, let's play.
Very gracious. She was saying, "You look so beautiful. I'm so sorry for your loss." To which I replied, "It is so nice to put a name to the face, especially with all of the slander, the lies, accusations that are out there surrounding my husband's murder and myself." And I said to her, "You know what's so interesting? This is my first time at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and I find it so fascinating, the dynamic that is going on right now, because everyone is all dressed up, and you guys are co-mingling in and out of each other's cocktail parties. And so for one night, you are able to put aside all of your differences for the sake of freedom of speech. And then by Monday morning, things will go back to being an absolute bloodbath between all of you." To which she replied, literally, she said, "I know. Isn't it special, right? Isn't tonight so special?"
You notice how she acts like she's from the outside, Erika Kirk. She acts like, notice how she says between all of you. All right. Now this person who's a reporter, they're not part of the government. Okay. She says she's speaking to somebody who I believe was part of the Daily Mail. Okay. So they're not part of the government. In actuality, Erika Kirk was much closer to the government than any of them with Charlie Kirk, because Charlie Kirk had direct connections with the president. All right. But she acts like, "Oh, I'm just an outsider. I'm just watching. I have nothing to," and of course the Republicans, the people that she's supporting, all right, the extreme right, the extreme evangelicals, they are just totally peaceful, totally loving, all right. And it's only the evil Democrats that are causing all these problems. It's not Donald Trump with all the racism that he has. It's not Donald Trump by going and starting a war in Iran, all right. You may say, "Oh, he needed to start that war." Did he need to start the war? Didn't President Obama already create the Iran deal? Oh, well, the Iran deal was bad. Why was it bad? Can you answer one? Can you give me one answer or one reason why it was bad? You cannot. It was bad because Donald Trump wanted to destroy it because he's a complete fool and idiot. That's why. And it's not just that he's an idiot that he destroyed it. It's also because it was a black man, because remember he's racist, who made it, and he wants his name to be on any deal, not a black man's, not President Barack Obama's. So he destroyed the Iran deal, as Benjamin Netanyahu continued to say, "Oh, we don't want them to get any kind of things to make a nuclear weapon." The Iran deal stopped that. They weren't making a nuclear weapon. And then you know what happened? If y'all forgot, I'm going to remind you, President Trump came in and he said, "Let's destroy the Iran deal." And then you know what Iran did? They started to enrich uranium or whatever to make nuclear weapons again, because Trump created that problem. He did it, but y'all y'all forgot about that part, didn't you? Or y'all forgot about that part as you put in my comments, "MAGA, MAGA, MAGA, Trump, 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 Trump." But y'all are so foolish, y'all. It's like y'all don't want to know the truth. It's like y'all don't want to think. All right. Erika Kirk is sitting here and she's just playing all like a fiddle. I hope that somebody can watch this with MAGA and wake up. All right. She's just playing a role. She's an actor. She knows that y'all love people. Y'all love people who seem like you're just always strong or just die hard. Okay. Hardliners. Okay, she's such a hardliner, isn't she? No, but she's a terrible actor that y'all are believing, and all she's doing is playing that role, sitting there squinting her eyes, acting like she's so concerned, and it's calling everything against her slander. It's not slander; it's the truth. It's the truth. Or that's why she seems. It's always something off of her. It's not because her husband was killed. She's always been like this because she's not who she appears to be. All right, that's why. She's sitting here dressed like the Unabomber, okay, with a fake smile on her face, as if to say, you know, "I need to teach you guys something." She's not teaching anybody anything.
And following that conversation, it was time to take our seats, and we went into the big ballroom where the dinner was. And one of the first things I noticed when I walked into that room was quite literally the proximity of the opposing outlets to one another. So you have one table here that's Politico, and another table here that's Fox, and another table here that's WAPO, and you're all crammed together, elbow to elbow. And to make the night even more of a spectacle, every single 10-person table had 10 bottles of wine. And the president of the White House Correspondents Association, she did a great job of trying to make the evening have that feeling of Americana. You know, we were in a room celebrating freedom of speech despite our differences. And the U.S. Marine Band performed the national anthem so beautifully. And then shortly thereafter, gunshots rang out and total chaos ensued. And you guys have all seen what happened next because there are 1,000 videos of it. So let's discuss that fact for a second. If you were in that room, you had no way of knowing what the status of the shooter was, how many there were, or honestly, really anything. It was just utter chaos. And so during an active shooting, these journalists are using their phones to find moments to capture for clips. They were so concerned about getting a video in a room with an active shooter that they could have accidentally and quite literally filmed themselves being shot. Many of those people have become so desensitized.
Isn't it odd the way that she doesn't go right back to what happened to her husband? It says she's talking about people filming. Maybe they were filming because they were maybe trying to catch a shooter. All right. Maybe they saw that they weren't in any danger at that point. They weren't in any danger at that point, and they knew that they could film. Maybe they wanted to catch it because this was an extreme thing going on, all right, in D.C. or around the president of the United States. All right. But I'm saying it's because if she was so concerned about her husband and how he was taking out all this kind of stuff, that she had nothing to do with it, all right, which I think that she most definitely did, and she knew all about it. That's why they keep making fun of her online and saying that she doesn't grieve, because she's not grieving because she doesn't really care. I mean, either she has something to do with it or she knew about it. I think she definitely knew about it. She may have had something to do with it, okay? I've never seen a woman in my entire life have her husband kill who she supposedly loved and act the way that she acts. It's not just that she has an emotion problem or she's grieving. She's not grieving because it doesn't bother her. That's why. She acts like the people that you see on these TV shows who killed their husbands or killed their wives, and they act just like her. All right, that's exactly how she's been acting from the beginning. And now she has to put on this act. Okay, she has to continue this act. They act like, oh, I'm just holding up Charlie's banner. All right, and all this kind of stuff. This is just a way for her to make easy money. It's as simple as that. Don't work a job. Just come on these podcasts and continue to act and continue that people pour money on you. All right, it's a perfect scam. It's a perfect scheme.
That fight or flight became secondary to the opportunity of putting themselves into the story, which ironically breaks the number one rule of journalism. And again, ironically enough, the shooter was a teacher. You have these people who are supposed to be...
So the number one rule of journalism, or something that's not to be held in high esteem, is actually trying to document something even in a dangerous situation. Okay? Like all the people that have documented things, in Vietnam or different places where there were war and they were actually there in extremely dangerous situations. That's not making them a more elite journalist. I don't know, what are you talking about? It makes absolutely no sense. But that's it, polite.
Teaching our children the future of this country, and he's so unhinged that he is able to teach children by day and then attempt to murder the president of the United States by night.
Okay, there's a double ad. There was an ad for me, and then there was an ad for on this channel that she had, so I had to skip past that. But another thing I got to mention is that the White House recently came out, I think yesterday, before yesterday, and they actually said they're not even sure if the guy actually was the shooter. I'm not making this up. So what she's saying is they said, we're not sure if this man actually was the shooter. They said that there were gunshots fired, okay, by people trying to stop the shooter, but they can't connect anything that came out of his gun, supposedly, with any shells in the whole entire area. That's what they actually said. Don't believe me? Go check it out. So that guy may not even be the person. But let's say play. I'm not gonna blame her for thinking that, because that was the story, or saying that at the very least. I think she knows about all this also. But let's play.
Problems with illegal immigration in this country. I have to tell you, we have an even bigger problem when it comes to the systemic indoctrination and radicalization of our own citizens. This is what got my husband killed. This is what has led to 3 legitimate attempts on President Trump's life.
Also, did y'all see how Erika Kirk has already gone out with a black guy? She was seen recently with a black guy. I think she was going to the correspondence dinner with a black guy. Okay, I think the guy was in somehow, I think he was a reporter or something. She was hanging out with a black guy, or probably dating the guy. Got over her husband's death real fast.
And I can speak firsthand to that unbearable toll that this must take on our First Lady. There has never been a president who has faced this many assassination attempts in Americans' entire history.
I know that's very interesting. Isn't it interesting how this guy can go to the MMA? I mean, seriously, does he go to MMA games? Just out there, just chilling. He could easily have been taken out of any MMA game, and he continues to do that. He's done like ton of times, going out to all kind of sporting events, just wide open. No one ever tried to assassinate him there for some odd reason. But whenever it's convenient, whenever he needs it, then all of a sudden, like that time when he had that assassination attempt a few years ago. Remember when he said fight, 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 fight? And at that very time when he was saying, they just happened to lower the American flag right over his head, right for the picture, the perfect picture. Okay. And then while he was saying that, while he had a little fake blood on his face, and that ran down from his ear, that miraculously healed with absolutely no damage at the age of 80 something years old. Isn't it just kind of odd the way that happens? I mean, most people, even when they're younger, okay, like I said before, like with Vander Holyfield, he was a younger guy, half Trump's age. His ear was bit by Mike Tyson, and he still has the damage to his ear today. But for some reason, Donald Trump can have his ear shot with a bullet, scraped with a bullet, blood comes out, and he has 0 damage to his ear. You know, he's 80 something years old. That's very, very odd. But let's simple. Of course, it's just a coincidence. God must have protected him. That's all that is.
And after each one, the reaction from the far left has been, at best, a shrug, and in some cases, a sick disappointment that the shooter was unsuccessful. We're all human beings. And if you can just...
That's how you bring people together. We're all human beings. We didn't realize that. And this is another thing. That, in my opinion, that's not even true. Some of y'all, I don't think y'all are actually human beings. But that's another subject for another day. Let's play.
If you can just pause and just take a minute and ask yourself, how would you feel if even just one person made cruel jokes about the attempted murder of your loved one? That is what Jimmy Kimmel did to the First Lady. He said that she had the glow of an expected widow.
There she go, that witch's stare. That's what I'm going to call it, okay? And I'm going to continue to call it. She has a witch's stare. That's what Erika Kirk uses, okay? That's a witch's stare. She does it all the time. All the time. I think that she actually is a witch. Okay, I really, really do. All right. Then you say, what do you mean by witch's stare? Well, a stare to almost entrance you, to make you, maybe even to, in my opinion, I think it's a stare to force you to believe what she's saying. You may say that type of thing doesn't exist. Oh, yes, that stuff does. Yes, that stuff does. It may not work on everybody, but just like hypnotism can actually work on people, okay, there are a variety of things that people can do that you'll be surprised that can actually work on some people. I believe that's what she's doing when she's saying these lies and this trash, and then she has that look at the end. It's not just a coincidence that she looks that way, okay? I'm trying to tell you.
The glow Jimmy Kimmel did to the First Lady. He said that she had the glow of an expected widow. The glow of an expected widow. Just 48 hours before that nightmare almost became a reality. In this culture we're living in, absorbs disagreement as a...
I'm going to say this to a lot of people online are not saying this, all right? But I'm going to say this. Now, I don't know this for sure, but there is, how can I say this? There's evidence for sure that shows how the government many years ago, and even still, to a degree, they have done all kind of experiments, all right, to create people like the movie, if you ever seen the movie, The Manchurian Candidate, there were 2 movies like that. One was with, I believe, I forget the guy's name, the singer, I forget his name, all right. But the second one was with Denzel Washington, all right. For some reason I can't remember the guy who was in the first one, the singers, and I can't remember the part of the Rat Pack. Okay, but anyway, um, in both of the movies, there's basically a character, a guy who is controlled. He ends up being controlled by the government, and whether we do a code word or whatever the case may be. All right, kind of like with the Avengers and how they had the one guy, the Winter Soldier. All right, that stuff is based on things that really happen. It's not just something that's total fiction. All right, it's possible that the Trump administration, they have access to people like that. All right, and they can easily call somebody or to do any kind of deed that they want. All right, seriously, it may seem like this is just hypothetical or fictional, but this stuff really is not fictional. All right, we'd be surprised at things that these people can do. And the government, this is documented. The government has spent many years do all kind of using psychedelic drugs and electroshock therapy to create people whose minds are set. What's the word I'm trying to say? Not section off, but what's the word I'm trying to say? Basically, to create compartments in people's brains. There's a word for some reason I can't think of it. It's something that you do with a computer where you essentially break it apart to different sections. All right. Actually, let me look it up real quick. I'll be right back, y'all. Partition. That's what I was trying to say. Partition. These people have the ability to partition. Okay. And they were trying to for many, many years to create a partition in a person's mind, which means that you could be one person and then there could be another part of you that you don't even know about. All right. If that was something that they could do, then Trump and them, they could, at a day's notice, call somebody to do any kind of deed. All right. Even to create a fake assassination. Now, I'm not saying that's exactly what happened for sure. What I'm saying is that if you believe in that stuff, if you research stuff and seen that the government in the 60s and the 50s, they used to grab women who were prostitutes and experiment on them. This is a fact. I'm not making none of this stuff. This stuff actually happened. They would get guys to give them psychedelics. They would trick people and have them and do all kinds of stuff so they could test to see if a person could be controlled, basically like a robot. That's what the real American government was trying to do for many, many, many years. All right, and they were successful in many of these experiments. I'm just telling you. All right, people like Erika Kirk, that like they're just always right. And also I'll say this: Donald Trump's uncle. There's another fact. Donald Trump's uncle was involved in a lot of mess, a lot of stuff because his uncle was in the government. Okay, look that up. I'm not making none of this up, but I can't go too much into that in this video. All right, but let's play though.
Personal betrayal. It turns having an opposing viewpoint into a moral crime worthy of punishment. And here's what I've realized through all of this, truly, having lived through quite literal hell these past 7 months, if you strip someone of their humanity long enough, you will arrive at the chilling conclusion that they don't deserve to exist at all. Every morning I wake up to a new headline lying about me. I have comedians dressing up in whiteface. I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO. And I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband. And the list
Well, you probably did. Let's hit play.
goes on and on and on.
Now, this is what I mean when I say she's an actor. She said all of these things. She said that she's had Drewski dressing up as her. She has Candace Owens saying she was responsible for her husband being killed. All right. And all this, you may say, you laugh at that? Oh, yes, I am. All right. Because it's probably the truth. That's why. And it's funny. And it's not funny that this man died, but it is funny that she's sitting here. It's more than funny that she's sitting here acting and doing a poor job at it as if these things are hurting her. Now, if these things that she just said are hurting her, let's see the emotion on her face. I like how she tried to almost give like a fake cry, like she was about to cry a few seconds ago. She really was trying. I could tell she really practices stuff in the mirror or at home trying to get it just right. But doing a fake cry, it's not easy to fake cry because you have to change your emotions and then be able to go back. And she's already acting as it is. So it's hard to, that will be acting on multi levels, which she cannot do. All right. We can see that she can barely act as she's acting right now. All right. That's why she can't cry. She can't even make water come into her eyes. But let's go back. Let's see how this act begins.
People saying I'm not fit to be CEO, and I have candidates that they don't deserve to exist at all. Every morning I wake up
There you go. That's where it starts. When she blinks her eyes and acts like she's swallowing something because it's hard for her to say this. No, it isn't. It's all an act. She's a terrible actor. Let's hit play.
New headline lying about me. I have comedians
Another thing they always look away. They always look down. You always gotta look. If you want to act like you're crying, make sure you look down and just in disgust. Oh, it just hurts me so much. Oh my goodness, just to hear to see Drewski dressing up as me. Candace Owens called me a murderer. It just hurts me. Jimmy Kimmel doing what he's doing. It just kills me. Come on now.
dressing up in whiteface. I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO, and I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband. And the list goes.
Isn't that a weird change? You went from almost crying to now being snarky and being mad. I mean, which one is it? And then y'all look at me and say I'm wrong for saying he's acting. Of course she's acting. Nobody can go from having a broken heart or thinking about their husband who was killed and you had nothing to do with it, and then in an instant go to being snarky and being mad at your enemies without any type of long transition or adjustment, just immediately whoop right on to the next thing. Isn't that kind of? It's almost as if she doesn't really care that her husband died. It's almost as if these things really don't even bother her because they don't. That's why. Now sad face, but going from sad face to mad face within 1.2 seconds.
Comedians dressing up in whiteface. I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO, and I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband. And the list goes on and on and on. There is a serious
She has nothing. So see how she stopped right there? That's what people do when they're acting and they literally have nothing to say. They can't think of what to say. All right. When you open your mouth and you're speaking with emotion, you stop talking and then open your mouth and speak with more emotion after the break, okay? Because you stop and you think, and there's a wealth of information that you should be able to pull from because you're full of emotion. She's not full of emotion, so she had to stop because she didn't know what to say. And now she's going to start off very, very slowly because she has really nothing that she's pulling from here. She has no emotion. All this is fake. In a real world, what she's really doing is she in my opinion, she had her husband taken out, or she knew about it. It helps her because she doesn't have to be with the guy who she probably didn't like. All right. Now she can go into the next guy. She already was with the black guy. They said she was with JD Vance also. I bet, in my opinion, by this time next year, she'll be remarried. I'm just being honest with you. Or engaged. I guarantee you that. All right. And she'll be doing something else. She's going to say, and that person that she's with, that person's going to have to be a part of the turning point also to help her. So she can take a back seat and collect that turning point money. I can guarantee that she doesn't want a man to marry her who's not going to be able to take Charlie Kirk's place, because the turning point is a huge racist, hate-filled racist organization. And when you have a racist and hate-filled organization, you can make a lot of money from that in the USA, because there are a lot of people in the USA who are racist and full of hate. Or it's the easiest way to make money in this nation, and that's what she's doing. So she wants somebody that's going to be able to slide to that slot and sit across the table from her. All right. So let's see how she starts after she gets this fake little, I'm just so disgusted. I have to stop talking because I'm just so disgusted.
husband. And the list goes on and on and on. There is a serious epidemic of dehumanization plaguing this country. The most unthinkable tragedies have now become commonplace in our daily headlines, and yet the media finds a way to conveniently explain away violence. This is what we're up against. This is what we're up against. What is happening right now is something none of us can afford to ignore.
Also kind of odd. Let's notice how she's like really, really made up, right? But she also has on all black and a black baseball hat. That's a weird combination. It's like, are you trying to go for dress down or dress up? She has lip gloss on, a lot of makeup. Oh, she has to wear makeup because she's on TV. You really don't. Okay, just because someone has lights on does not mean that they have to have makeup. I film people all the time, and I have plain lights on them. You don't have to have makeup. Oh, it's her complexion. It doesn't matter. She doesn't have to have that much makeup on. There been plenty of people who've been on TV who have not had makeup on, but she has a lot of makeup on. It seems like she has her lips, lip gloss, all that kind of stuff on. All right, eyebrows, all stuff look done. Okay, and then she threw on a black silk shirt and a black hat that said freedom. All part of the act. If she gonna dress up like that, she just put on regular clothes, but she can't because she has to, because the outfit that she's wearing helps people to make her seem like she's sad and she's grieving. All right, and she needs all the help that she can get.
Or the evil forces working to divide us, to distract us, and to pull us apart has never been stronger. This is a moment for Americans to come together and decide what kind of country we are going to be before we lose our country altogether. In Romans chapter 12, verse 21, it says, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." And this is why my husband created Turning Point USA, so we could have.
Okay, so he created Turning Point USA to not be overcome by evil, but to overcome it with good, even though everything out of this man's mouth was almost all evil. Oh, he was quoting the Bible and quoting the scriptures, just like she just did. She quoted the Bible and quoted the scriptures. But it doesn't matter if you can quote the Bible. It matters if you actually are doing what the Bible says. And she and her husband did not do that. They did whatever they wanted to do. They were full of hate, racism, and evil. They were also, what's the word I'm trying to say? They were also xenophobic. They were all kind of stuff. Okay. They were everything that Trump was. They supported that, and they helped Trump become the president of the United States. This demonic pedophile. They helped him become the president of the United States. And then Charlie Kirk later tried to say, "Oh well, I don't like that Trump's doing this. I don't like that Trump's doing that." All right, I can see why they would want to take him out, because they were looking at Charlie Kirk like, "You dummy, you supporters and got us here. Now you're gonna try to turn against us." That's their mindset. I'm not calling him a dummy, but that's the way they look at him. Dummy. Look, didn't you just see? Didn't you see also that we done did? How we talk about black folks? Remember when they were trying to beat the black guy? When I think they were hitting the black guy or something like that, or they're grabbing him and pull him out of this crowd at some type of Trump event. And after that happened, Trump said, "Man, in the good old days, they would have beat the mess out of this guy." In the good old days, he was talking about the days when there was racism and black people were being hung publicly, and Trump was referring to those days. Okay, what about the time when Trump said that he likes grab women by the vagina? What about I go on. Trump being sued for raping a woman and losing the case, and on. And all the other women that said that he done did something to them. Trump not paying workers in Jersey and all across the world for creating things for him, caused a whole business to go under, where there are whole documentaries about this, such as You've Been Trump, and there are two of those movies. These movies that were made, documentaries that were made about Trump and his evil ways, years before you ever even say when he wanted to be the president. It's a fact. Don't believe me? Go look it up. It's called You've Been Trumped. I say it on almost every video I talk about Trump. I try to bring it up all the time because people need to watch those videos. They tell you who Trump really is. How he almost had even in that documentary to show how there's a woman who Trump threatened and almost had the lady killed because he wanted to steal her family's land. This is a demonic, evil man who Charlie Kirk and Erika Kirk supported to the fullest. But now she's fake crying and fake sad because things aren't going their way. Well, it wasn't going for black people's way and our way at all for all of this time. And Trump loved it, didn't he? Remember when Trump said, "Why are we getting all these people from these S-hole nations?" He used the S word, and he was talking about black people, nations where black people were coming from. And then he said, "We need to go to New Zealand and other nations where white people are and bring people and bring aid and bring people from those places." And he named a bunch of white nations. Just the fact that he actually did that. He's obviously racist. He's a terrible person. And y'all support this man and put him in office. But when Charlie Kirk opened up his mouth and said something that Trump didn't like, for example, "Why are we doing everything that Israel says, XYZ?" Trump said, "Okay, maybe Benjamin." I have a friend who always says Benjamin Netanyahu had something to do with this. I don't know. I don't believe that, but it's possible. Okay, I don't believe that Charlie Kirk was that big. But at the end of the day, he was saying some things they didn't want him to say. And his handler, in my opinion, Erika Kirk, was there to say, "Okay, well, if Buddy gets out of line, we're going to need you to aid with put him somewhere so we can take his behind out." It's as simple as that. You don't think Trump's like taking his enemies out? Oh, yes, he does. He'll find something on you, just like Rush and all of them found something on him. He knows all about how that stuff works. Okay? There are people that have actually died who people think they just died coincidentally. And I, in my opinion, no, they died because Trump them had something to do with it. That's why they got sick or some scandal came out about them just in a convenient time to silence them about to silence them so they can talk about Trump. All right, I'll put none past them. Even a comedian like Paul Mooney, who would have been destroying Trump right now. Paul Mooney ain't here anymore. I mean, every person you could think of, they just happened to die or something happened to them. It's just very, very odd when you think about it. All right, when you think about it, it's just very, very odd. And that could be 10 videos just going into that. I can make videos just going into all these things that just are very, very odd. All right. Then you have a man like Jimmy Kimmel who's been talking against Trump. And what is Trump doing? Trump had the man fired. So you don't believe that? If you don't believe that Trump, if you don't believe me when I say that Trump goes against his enemies and does all kinds of against his enemies, underhanded stuff, well, didn't he have Jimmy Kimmel fired? Yes, he did. And that's something that we could clearly see. So what more the other people that did stuff to him or have been saying things about him? Truthful things. And even now, him and his wife are trying to get Jimmy Kimmel fired again. All right, as this new scandal arises with his prostitute mail order, which is what she really was, former prostitute mail order bride. Okay, how they say that she used to be with Epstein. All right, you know the Epstein from the Epstein files, who Trump is mentioning over 1 million times. That's why they were so redacted, because his name was mentioned over 1 million times. That's not my word. That's what the actual congressman said. He said, I found out when I was putting in the name Trump in search, they came up over 1 million times in the unredacted files. That's how much is disgusting pervert and pedophiles in these files. All right. The same man that Erika Kirk, this terrible actor, has helped get in office and is now defending. And y'all love Donald Trump. And y'all think that God put him there to do what? Let's hit play.
Civil discourse and debate and open dialogue, because when we stop talking to each other, bad things happen. I am choosing to fight for America, for my children, for your children.
Okay, when we stop talking to each other, bad things happen. Okay, Erika Kirk. So when's the last time you've called up Drewski and said, let's talk? She hasn't done that, has she? No. But she's come out and said that he shouldn't have been talking about her, even though he didn't even mention her name. She didn't call him up and say, let's have a civil discussion. What are you talking about?
And for our humanity, because we all need to do our part. And by the grace of God, we will succeed, and America will remain what she was always called to be, a shining city on a hill, a light to the world.
Let me use some more Bible verses here to make sure. They always got to end it with some Bible verses so that the Christians, the so-called Christians, okay, and I'm a Christian myself, but I'm not fooled by these Christian nationalists, as like to call themselves, all right, which is nothing more than a huge, ridiculous cult, which anybody with half a brain should be able to understand. But a lot of people don't use half of their brain. That's why they can't see this. I'm just being honest with you. Or it's not like you almost can't even blame them, because they tell you that there's something different. They tell you we're Christian nationalists, and you all just look right past that. It's equivalent to you meeting a woman and she said, I'm a prostitute. Okay, so I will sleep with anybody. And then you take her home, sleep with her, and then the next day you find she's with another guy. And you say, what are you doing? Well, didn't she tell you that she sleeps around? She's a prostitute. Did she make her living by doing this? And you took her home thinking you can make her a housewife. No, she told you this is what I do. All right. And Donald Trump told y'all, like in a lot of his rallies, when he has that snake poem, and then the snake, which he says over and over again, to spit in you guys' faces, to say y'all are so stupid, y'all can't see who I am. That's why Donald Trump said I could kill somebody in the middle of New York and I want to lose a single voter. He was talking about y'all MAGA people who support him no matter what he does. And he admitted this, and look, I could do anything. And y'all won't keep supporting me. When he has that snake poem, he says, there was a woman that took a snake home, all right, and she thought she could make the snake become like a pet. And she feeds the snake, and then finally, the snake, after all of that, the snake bites her, and she says something like, what have you done? I'm about to die. And then the snake finally says, the poem ends by the snake saying, you knew I was a snake when you took me in. You knew I was a snake when you took me in. All right. And it's the same. And Trump says that poem over and over and over and over again at almost all of his rallies. You knew I was a snake. She said something like, I forget how the poem goes, but she's basically, it's a real interesting poem. I'll just say that, okay? And he says, you knew I was a snake when you took me in. You took me into your house. I'm a snake. And Trump is more than a snake. And you know, a snake has a similarity with the devil. All right. The devil, of course, appearing in the form of a snake in the Bible. That's the Bible verse that we're going to bring up as we close this video. Thanks for watching. To help this video be seen, hit the like button, please. Share this video. God bless. Peace.